when we think of something that's happened in our past and we're bringing it up, suddenly the past becomes the present and it's
Yeah.
consuming our presence.
Yeah.
So if we really truly are mindful in this moment, we can only be here now, not accumulating what we have had from our previous world.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, the gift of just embracing whatever comes up in that moment as well. I mean, there's a lot of vulnerability there. We're not scripted on what we're doing here. There's nothing like no like we're here in this moment. I'm not exactly sure of the where the questions are going to go. You're not sure of how I'm going to respond to it. So living in that state of real vulnerability and being okay with it, it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to misquote something guaranteed. I'm going to, something's going to happen, but it's okay because the energy of the moment is what it's all about. You're not going to get it perfect. And I think,
Yeah.
that's a huge superpower. We talk about all the time the ability to do the work without sort of um, being so concerned about what everyone thinks. And we like to be bold, to be courageous, to be able to just, you know, say what you mean in that moment with the right intent, and not get hammered for it. It does take a lot of courage, but it's exciting and it's what makes it enjoyable to have conversations with people, because you don't know where it's going to go. I mean, like, go up to a stranger. Like, if you're taking a bus, sit down on a bus and talk to someone you don't know. You never know where that conversation's going to go. It's a scary yet great thing to be involved in.
I love that you said that. First thing that came to my mind is I remember being on an airplane flying to Toronto. Someone was flying their way home, and we were just having a conversation about journaling. And the next thing I knew, she just looked at me and said, "We're going to coach together someday." And I became her coach. Maybe it was, I think, about 3 years later. And it was just the
Wow.
coolest experience to see that circle because you never know how
Yeah.
things change and shift and morph and how people remember you at different points in their lives. And then you're brought back to this present moment, even though sometimes it feels like a deja vu.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's something that I think, the art of conversation, I think, is something that we kind of need to bring back. You talk about like presence and like, what does that mean? I mean, the art of just having just a natural human conversation. I mean, it's something that I think we could use to just going back to some basics.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of what I want to share with everybody and why I want to share you with everyone, James, is in our conversation, you shared with me you had just recently published a book, Headwaters to Change.
Yeah.
And it got me really curious about your journey. So, I'd like to start off with what inspired you to write a book about change?
Yeah, it's I think so many of us, I mean, you've got three books out yourself. Um and I don't know if you felt this as well, but that instant you sort of think about writing the book, that sort of voice comes in of, does the world really need another book? I think like we all kind of say that.
Yeah.
And so you have to, I think that's an important question because you have to take that moment and truly sort of step into what does that mean? I think initially, um, I'd always sort of wanted to put something out there that supports my passion and love for change. I've had a really um, fortunate and blessed career so far in being involved in continuous improvement and change for over 20 years now. And initially, I thought, well, I'm going to write a book about change and improvement based on the sort of lessons of the Toyota production system that I sort of um, been groomed through, and how I've integrated that from sort of manufacturing into healthcare. And that's kind of where it stopped. And I was like, I don't think the world needs another one of those books. And I'd been drafting sort of versions of it for a while, and I just sort of put it on the back burner. And then, life does what it does, and it throws out curves at you. 2014, my brother was diagnosed with cancer, and that was a massive turning point for me. It's he's my only sibling. We'd emigrated as a family in 1993 from the UK, and so when we had a very close bond, and so when that turn of events came around, I knew that I needed to do something to be able to cope with what was coming. You know, I've been in healthcare for, 15 years. That comes with the the blessing and the curse of the reality of
Mm.
knowing what some of these diagnoses will end up being. And so I wanted to take the right steps to move forward, and I started to look into mindfulness and meditation practice to be able to prepare my mind to be able to be present for whatever was going to be. I didn't know. I mean, we never do. So I started, reading and downloading apps and doing some just like meditation walks and just trying to understand some basics. And then I was walking through the hospital one day, and there was a sign up saying like Thursday hour meditation at lunch. So I thought, okay, this is a sign, and I went to the session. I think I was the only one that actually turned up, which again was selfishly really great because it had gave me the opportunity to connect with the teacher one on one, and I sort of started my deeper practice into meditation, and the impact that it had on me was profound. It gave me the ability to handle some really tough times, and more importantly, be able to be there fully present for what was needed. And that foundation really unlocked who I am. And when my brother did pass away in 2019, I was with him, and I was able to be fully present with him until his last breath, and that is something that I will, as much as it is a really tough thing to have to go through, I will cherish the gift that he left me, and that was the gift of unlocking myself and my understanding of what true mindfulness and inner mastery really looks like. And so going through that and taking all the lessons that I'd been learning over the years through my continuous improvement journey, I started seeing this really beautiful synergy of how the acts of meditation practice and mindfulness practice really were very much aligned with all the work that I had ever been doing. And it took me down a path of really integrating all of these pieces together and going down that path of really understanding that this was a real journey that wove together the fibers of into this fabric that was a beautiful tapestry of how you go about embracing change and the true realization of impermanence and the suffering that we go through in life, and how you embrace every opportunity with equanimity, the balance of that middle ground. And so I then felt I had something that I wanted to share because I thought now I can really help people and step into my purpose. And that's where the foundation of the book came from.
Yeah. So, you know what I find very interesting is when we have these turning points in life, turning points, pivotal points, transitions, whatever you want to refer to them as, they often come very disguised, right? And
Yeah,
they, they are not anything anyone would wish on another person often. And there's challenges and obstacles and detours all along the way. And yet, if we're mindful about looking for it, you can find the beautiful gift that becomes a purpose, becomes a calling. And
yeah,
I find it mind-blowing. If you can sit and really think about how everything connects, we look at hindsight and we're looking at all of these things have led me here, but then the foresight of where am I going now?
Yeah.
And only place we can do is start from this present moment.
Yeah.
So what I am curious about now, James, is what not only that you recognize the gift, but who did you become in the process?
Mm. I became, I think, myself. I embraced who I was, flaws and all. And I think, it's ironic. George says this often. I think he actually said this really recently. He said, if you don't know who you are, be careful because you might just end up being somebody. Um,
Mm,
and that was exactly it. I didn't, and it that point in time allowed me to know who I truly was, like fully and
mm,
completely. And so now I have that direction. I have that compass
mhm,
point. That's my true north. That is what will be there, and that's a core philosophy of my approach is a performance compass, and having that true north as your anchoring point to know where your purpose is, and then having
mhm,
your next point being your ability to be aware and have mindfulness. And then once you have that, having the ability to understand the Kaizen philosophy, which is the ability to embrace small, meaningful steps towards change,
mm.
that 1% better every day. And then the reality that your next point is just embracing that process every single day. And so that turning point for me allowed me to set my true north and then bring myself back. And at any point, um, I can reflect on my journey and that compass point to know that I'm going back there. And I think that's so important. We um, when we're working with organizations, teams, like even from that individual perspective, we talk about the importance of having that vision, that mission, that anchors the organization. Sometimes I think we lose the whole point of what we're trying to do when we set that. And so coming back to that is so fundamental, and having the approaches to how you deal with it um, is what we're all trying to do. And knowing that you're gonna it's a compass, because depending where you are on your journey, the needle point is going to be different. So it's not a set fixed pathway. You're going to need certain points as you navigate that journey and bringing yourself back. But again, it all comes back to that purpose, and that's what that gave me. Again, I'll refer to something that George Mumford always says, and that's you need your ass on fire, right?
That's
You've got to
basically it.
have that, right? Like without that sort of that defining moment, you miss it. But again, it sort of comes back to that reality of, are you aware of it? And this is what
Mm,
you're saying, like if you're so lost in the moments, you'll miss them when they're in front of you.
yeah. Did you feel lost prior to the diagnosis of your brother? Like, did you that there's this significant shift, or was it
Um,
knowing that you wanted to be fully present for him that where the awareness and shift started to happen?
I think it was the awareness that I needed to be able to be present and to be able to mentally cope with it, to
Mm,
to the there's going to be that swirl around you, that storm around you, and bringing yourself
hmm
back into the present moment so that you can actually be with whatever that is. And that's not always like the positive thing. Like, you just need to be in the moment so that you can be with what is in front of you fully and completely, not ignoring it, not trying to push it away. And I mean, like,
hmm
that's the whole point of meditation practice. Meditation practice isn't about sitting down forgetting that real life happens around you. It's about being fully present. The practice is sitting and teaching training your mind to go back and begin again over and over and over again to that state of centered calm. But the reality is that that when you leave that cushion, you're in the real world, and that's where it actually happens. And so you need to be able to bring that mindset with you the whole way. And so I wanted to be able to be in that state where I could fully be able to respond. And I think my years of work with continuous improvement within organizations um, had equipped me with the ability to be able to handle complex problems and break them down into bite-sized pieces and to systematically test change. Um, I had that ability, I had that awareness, I had that understanding, but it was this lightning bolt of, wow, I need this. This needs to start within first. And
Yeah.
that's actually one of the opening things that I that I have in my book. Um, it was that it's a quote that I have in here, and it's when I look at the word improvement, uh, I realized that it started with I. And so I was literally, Deborah, I was
Mhm.
sitting down at the kitchen table and I was writing my book, and I had this I don't know if you had these sort of like rituals, but I had this like particular sweater that I would put on
Mhm.
and I'd be writing. And so like my wife and my boys would know, okay, dad's, in he's in writing mode and is sitting there. And then I'm looking at this word and I'd seen it like probably millions of times over my career. And I'm sitting there and I just stood up and I said to my wife, her name's Kylie, I said, um, improvement starts with I. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like improvement starts with I. Like I've been looking at this the whole time, and the word has been
Yeah.
telling me to go inward the whole time, and
Mm.
yet I didn't see it. And I think it's that beautiful thing of when you're sitting, um, the Shinryu Suzuki, a Zen monk who wrote Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, has a beautiful phrase of in the beginner's mind the opportunities are endless, but in the experts they're few. But when
Mm.
you take that step back and you look at something you looked at for a long, long, long time, and you look
Yeah.
at it from its most purest beginner perspective, is the first time you've seen it, you actually appreciate it. And so like that, I was like, okay, that is going in, like that's gonna be like one of the first things I put in there because it was that like
Yeah.
ridiculous, stupid aha moment that is just the fun of when you sit and write and be in the moment.
Well, it makes me think when you look at that word, you don't look at it the same way ever again. It's like you're all of a sudden in awe because you're having to go inward and you're in awe of yourself that you don't even realize it. Because sometimes I find that people who come into our lives, they see us a certain way, yet we don't always have the same alignment of seeing ourselves the way others do because we have our inner critic. And of course, we're harder on ourselves than another person. But when
Yeah,
we can get into that place of presence and mindfulness of, hmm, maybe what they say is true, or maybe you are already working toward it, yet you don't see yourself as there, and everyone around you sees you as there. And I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and they were like, Deb, you're already there. What are you talking about? You know? So it's interesting how we think we're gearing up for things when you are already there.
yeah,
And that improvement, that for you to recognize that I is for you to recognize what you already see within you, to
yeah.
be in
That's
awe
it.
of what's possible.
Yeah, and I know it's something that you practice and something that you support your clients and those close to you through as well. We all like the theory of these pieces that we know, and but it's how it turns up and put it into practice. That's why the last point of the compass for me is embracing the process, because it's great to have all this theoretical knowledge, and but if you
Mhm.
cannot apply it when it's needed, it doesn't really mean anything. It's
Yeah.
bookshelf learning, and I think we have to step into that reality that we need to just go back to simple practice, which is so often what it is. We can get lost in these complexities of trying to, you know, understand to this like really, complex level. But, the irony is once you get to that point, you just go back. And that's the whole, again, chop wood, carry water. Where at the, where before enlightenment, I was chopping wood and carrying water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. That's an old Zen proverb. And, that's
Yeah.
what it's about. It doesn't, like, okay, you're going to hit this point where you get this great insight, but you still have to get up. You still have to, go through your daily routines and
Yeah.
embrace that time period of, and um, it's I think just going back again, and it's just this really beautiful, simple way of being.